All right. We are back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys are having a great day, great week, wherever you are and whatever day it is for you. As always, it's Friday on the podcast, so we're bringing that good Friday energy to you. And this is going to be a good episode because we got Bob Lachance with us here from Riva Global. Riva is a company that specializes in virtual assistants. They do virtual assistants that specialize in real estate. And so if you guys are out there, you guys want to build a team, you want to build those systems and kind of do it with virtual assistants, the easy way, the way that you can do it remotely, this is the episode to listen to. Building the team is one of the hardest parts of doing it, doing real estate efficiently. So there should be some good gems in here. So Bob, I'm excited to jump into this. Thanks for hopping on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. I told you before we got on here, we always like starting with stories. We like to hear how people got to where they are. So why don't you take us back to the beginning of your story in real estate and tell us how you got here?
All right. Well, I got here because I didn't want to finish school. So long and short.
Fair enough.
I went to Boston University for 4 years, played hockey there, ice hockey there, and signed a professional contract. Played 8 years, and then you either had to go back to school and finish those 2 classes or jump into an industry that did not need, there's no barriers of entry. So did a lot of research. Everything pushed me towards real estate. So jumped into real estate back in 2004. I was door knocking literally for a year straight. So that's how I got started. Did a bunch of short sale transactions, joined an individual that specialized in short sales. So that's what I did for, the first X amount of years of my career. Got into real estate education as well. And then through the years, I realized while I was running my own business, it gets more and more expensive to hire people, especially in different states, and minimum wage keeps going up, et cetera, et cetera. So then 2014, I started a virtual assistant company because of the need of. I know you have a coaching program. A lot of our students, we have to help them with the tasks that are being done. And then I realized over time that there was no service or product out there that'll help our student base. So I got introduced to what a virtual assistant was in 2013. Light bulb went on. I said, you know what? I need this in my own business. I know other students need this as well. So I started my first virtual assistant company in 2014. I use them. Fast forward today, I think I have about 30 virtual assistants for my real estate team. We've done over 260 transactions as of today. That'll change. Hopefully we'll, get up to another 20, 30 by the time the month is up. But we use our virtual assistants, our own real estate company as well.
Nice, man. I love it. And yeah, virtual assistants are so crucial to making real estate fun. So you aren't pulling your hair out. You aren't, hitting your head against the wall and having to take on every task. So I trying to think of how to jump into this because it's not as simple as just hiring a virtual assistant. There's different things that you need to hire them for. And so I kind of want to weave in what you're doing in real estate and use that as the case study that we can kind of take as an example for the 30 VAs that you have working for yourself. Because what I really want to get to is how do you use VAs? How does somebody just getting started, how are they going to implement them in their business? So let's take it to your business. You have 30 VAs, and you told me before we got on here, you guys do wholesaling and you do novations. And so you're doing high volume, you're reaching out to people quite often. Tell me about your business, and then how are those 30 VAs augmenting what you're doing?
Yeah, so they're sprinkled in. We do a lot of lead generation. So we'll do direct mail. We'll do direct outreach to sellers. Obviously, there's a lot of competition, as we all know. I mean, people say there's a lot of competition, but what we find, especially in different markets, which we're in Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. We were in some of the southern states, but pulled back a little bit because we're going deeper in our own market. What we realize is that the more follow-up you do, I think right now we're probably on average about 15 touches. It used to be 7
Wow.
to get someone into contract. Just it's part of the game. It's part of the industry. And I do realize, and I know you went through the same thing, is it's tiring if you have to do all the stuff yourself. So it's literally burnout. So we have a lot of phone management, virtual assistants. We have a lot of technology virtual assistants, whether it's communicating through text message, well, it's taking leads through direct mail. We have a lot of leads in our system. So what happens is we have in-house acquisition guys that are calling all day long, but majority of the time they can't actually reach them. So then we have our VAs in the background too, also calling, also following up via text message because the lead's already in our system. So we do a lot of that with our VAs, and we also have some that are handling our acquisition, helping our acquisition guys. So once there's property under contract, there's still a lot of paperwork that needs to be compiled, and then we pass them off to our dispo team, and we have VAs that work with our dispo team, marketing it, creating flyers, etc. We also have a couple that help out our TC team.
Okay, I love it. So,
I hit on a lot. I'm saying I do a
yeah,
better.
yeah, yeah. No, it's good, and I wanna take it down to numbers, and so you said 30 as your main that's the bulk of your team. Let's break that down. You're talking about transaction coordinators, you're talking about lead gen, you're talking about marketing, tech marketing guys, dispositions, all these different roles. Break it down into numbers. How many people are associated with each role within your team?
Yeah. So we have about 22 on the direct acquisition side. So those are the individuals that are focused on driving in leads. And then
Okay, and those they're calling, they're doing, cold texting,
taking
they're
inbound,
setting up mailing campaigns.
a lot of them are leads in our system already, because
Mm,
obviously there's different things that you can and can't do with cold calling and things like that. But we have that team handle the inbound lead generation. We have three of them on the branding side, so that's 25. We have two on the acquisition side, 26, 27. One on dispo, and then two helping out TC.
okay, cool. And you said inbound. So are you guys not doing outbound calling, or is it just
Well,
how
we're
are you
doing both. We're doing both, and we do direct mail as well. So we have a lot of inbound coming in.
got it, okay.
I think it's
Um,
important to do multi-facet marketing, and don't
mhm.
just rely on one channel. I think it's very important, especially I keep saying this today, day and age. I've been investing for over 20 years, and it kind of changes a little bit of what you need to do each year in marketing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I found that's, a while ago in early 2020s, for some reason, the, mailers were doing really well for me, and then all of a sudden, would send a batch, and I'm doing commercials, so I'd send it to, like, self-storage, mobile home parks, that kinda thing, but I would send a batch, and I would get just crickets, just nothing.
Yeah.
But then cold calling would work, and so it's interesting how things kind of ebb and flow naturally sometimes, and I can't think of a reason why it is, like, why, for some reason, mailers work now and then later they don't. But I've definitely found that in my own business as well. What are you seeing working right now? We're December 12th, 2025. What are you guys seeing the most ROI for your marketing dollar?
You know what? It's actually those three. It's calling, mail. Um, we're getting more and more, believe it or not, we're getting more and more direct to our website leads as well. We're doing
Okay.
PPC, things like that. And then that does get more expensive, but it's like we talked about. I'm part of I don't know if you know this or you're part of a bunch of different masterminds. I just came back from one on Friday night, and then I'm heading out to another one on Sunday. I'm flying out, but we get access to the bigger players around the country and what's working, what's not. So we're fortunate, obviously, and we have over 600 clients in our VA company. So you get to see a lot what's working, what changes are being made, etc. So we're in a fortunate seat.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So right now, calling, mailing, and PPC, I mean, those are the three that work at all times.
Yeah.
If you could just point to one, if somebody gun to your head, they said you can only do one type of marketing right now for the next 2 years, what channel would you choose?
I would say calling. I mean,
Cold calling.
yeah, it's the hardest to do. So, for instance, if anyone on the that's listening to this podcast has ever tried it, it's easy to quit because it's just consistent, but it is the highest revenue generator for you.
Yep.
That's why outsourcing it is key. That's what we do. I mean, we outsource all that because I did it for a year straight. Literally, I'd door knock for a year straight. I would come home, I would have my list, I would door knock, I would skip trace to find the best number for that home that I just door knocked. and then I would call for about 2 hours a day. And after I did it for a year, and I'm like, man, I can't do this anymore. I got to get someone else to do this for me. This is back in
Yeah.
'04.
Yeah, and so on that note, I also started on the commercial side cold calling myself. And during that year when I was doing it myself, I closed 4 deals, 5 deals, which for what I'm doing is pretty good. And then I switched to VAs, and they're just not as good on the phone as myself. But it's natural. I'm the one, I can have the conversation pretty quickly. But I want to, since then we've switched a little bit over to mailers and texting, because we found that the cultural difference can be is not as big of a problem in those two mediums.
So
So
here's what
how
I'll
do
say.
you?
I
Yeah,
like
you know
that.
what the question I'm going to ask.
Yeah, yeah, I know the no, I like that. I actually really like that because when I hear that, I'm like, exactly. Because a lot of times, when I'm talking to other investors, I always say, you're not looking for a VA to be your closer. You're just looking for a VA for somebody to raise their hand and say, hey, I may be willing to sell, or I am willing to sell. That's it. You want to use VAs as lead generators. You brought up texting, same thing. You have them handle all the texting to drive in anybody who's motivated, because no one's a better closer than you. I 1,000% agree. And I always say that because, we have calls. I do some sales calls once in a while with my sales team, and we get some individuals that say, well, I want a VA that's a closer. And I'm like, don't do it. I tried it. And I'm just saying, I tried everything. And I highly recommend, if someone's out there saying that I have closer VAs, try them out. I would love to hear about it, but I've tried it, and it just, this is your business. It's our job to make money for our business, period. So if you're the closer, you're the closer. Or if you have a team like we do here, my real estate company, we have a team of closers that do that. So I don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah, but I'm assuming those closers, they're based in the U.S. They or
Right through
somewhere.
They're right through this wall. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So they they know the speak. They understand how to have those conversations. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's something that we keep VA even when I kind of went away from using callers. I still always have somebody calling.
Yeah.
And so we have switched to that recently, and I've just instructed them, don't try to even qualify the lead. Don't ask, how many pads are in the RV park. Don't even ask those questions. Just say, do you own this property? Yes, no, awesome. And would you consider an offer? And those are the two things that that I want them to get an answer to. And if they're yes for both, then they put it in our system, and they
Yeah.
connect with me, and then I'll take the call.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
actually,
oh, go ahead, sir.
I was going to say, they put it in the system. It's just yes to the first answer goes in the system. So if they do own the property, even if they don't want an offer, we're going to put it in the system, because now we have that record. And we'll check in with them every 6 months, every year. Hey, we talked to you last year. It wasn't the right time. How about now? Is now a good time for you to sell? And so, you mentioned follow up is key. I didn't know it was 15. I knew it was 7 back in the day. You need 7 touch points, but 15, that's kind of crazy.
It's getting to be a lot. And, virtual assistants, here's how I always look at it. You have different industries with commercial multifamily properties. There's a lot of management tasks that need to be done. So virtual assistants are fantastic, not only on the front end. You look at marketing and branding, you have also acquisition, not closers, but lead generator acquisition kind of. And then you also have the management side of it, because I know in your world, there's a lot of headaches that happen in so many different tasks, from customer service to accounts payable to invoicing to disclosures to tenant concerns to, you could keep naming them. But we have a lot of clients that actually use our VA services for management on it.
Nice. And now that we have AI, do you empower your VAs, like the ones that are doing the admin tasks? Do you suggest that they use Chat or Claude or any of those?
100%, because that's the way the world is going. I always say this, a lot of people ask me, are you worried about your business going under because of AI? It's going to be affected 100%. But my job as an owner is to then to your point, empower our VAs to learn. So now we have training on AI, so then they can implement it for our clients. So it's always, everything that we do as business owners, we always have to think is, how could we best serve our client base? Not only that is, we use VAs in our own companies, so we want to make sure we empower them with the right tools.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't see AI as a replacement for VAs at all because, you have to have a human use AI, otherwise it's just a it's just a computer.
I say the
And
same exact things. It's somebody actually has to use it because you have all these different tools that come out. You're like, and before you know it, you have 900 subscriptions. You're paying $5,000 a month. You're not using one, you
yeah.
know? Yeah.
That's funny. I got a subscription to all of the major AI tools just because I want to try them all. And I actually like them all. I feel like they're all good at something. Like Perplexity I use for research. ChatGPT I just use generally. Claude I feel is really good for text, for like coming up with marketing content or anything like that. And then I use the Google one. I can't remember even what it's called.
Gemini, Gemini.
Yeah, yeah. So I use them all, and I think they're all really useful. Okay, so last question before we move on, because we're almost running down the clock here. But I do want to ask, put the hat of somebody who is just getting started in real estate. They're launching their business. Let's say they're trying to launch in the single family world. They want to do either wholesaling or they want to buy single families, short term rentals, something like that. They only have a budget for two VAs. What are the two VAs you would suggest they hire?
I would do marketing and branding up front because we all need a presence. Just doing this podcast, we have a VA team that this goes to, and then they cut it up and post it on social. So I think that's everyone needs something out there, right? It could be a part time virtual assistant that does that, marketing, branding, posting. And then next one, I'd say lead generation. To your point, you say texting, calling, following up. Those are the two that I would focus on because if you don't have leads, you don't have a business.
Nice. I love it. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to push us into the quick question round. Are you ready?
Okay, let's do it.
All right. Starts with education. Could be any form, could be a movie you've seen, a book you've read, a mentorship program you've been a part of, a conference you've gone to, anything. I just need two recommendations, one for general life wisdom and then one for real estate.
So a book, I would say is I always go back to the compound effect. I think it's Darren Hardy. And
Mm,
obviously, you're in the commercial world with passive income, etc. It's everything that compounds on each other. You start with one house, you add another, you add another, you add another. Before you know it, you're 51 like myself, almost 52, and you're doing okay. But it's that first house that you need to get because that's the hardest. It's hardest to you say, oh well, it's too expensive. It's never too expensive to not start. So
mm,
I would say
100%.
that one. I download a lot of books on Audible. My office is probably about an hour away from where I live. So one of the books I just read was Wisdom Takes Work by Ryan Holiday. It's actually pretty good.
Oh, nice.
Break it down. It's a little boring read at the beginning, so you just give it a little time, but there's a lot of takeaways on it.
Yeah, Ryan Holiday. What was that? He did in one of the books. It was
Eagles and Enemy is one of his.
yeah. That one's really good. Yeah, those are good recommendations. The compound effect, that reminds me, Warren Buffett's autobiography, The Snowball. I thought it has the same message, and it's just like get
I'm gonna write
started,
that. You said
get the
Snowball?
something like that.
Okay.
But the message is basically the same. It's like, push the ball down or push the snowball down the right hill, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You just gotta push it. All right. Next question. And this is for your younger self. Let's go back to the Bob who was just getting that first VA. I think you said back in 2013, 2014, something like that. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
If it's working with a VA, it's knowing what you want that VA to do because that's a challenge that everybody does. They say, I need help, but they don't identify what help you have. So then the VA is never going to be successful. It's kind of like if you hire someone in your own office. If you say, hey, I need help, but they're sitting in that chair right there, you still have to give them direction and tell them what they need to do.
Nice. I like it. All right. Next question is about the US. It's a big place. There is a lot of opportunity out there. Give me the single metro you're most excited about investing in today.
Well, I'm in Connecticut, and I just read an article. Someone posted it with a data company that said Hartford, Connecticut, or the county of Hartford is actually one of the best places to not. I can't say live, but the prices are very stable. So
Hmm.
it's an incredible place to invest, in my opinion. I live here, so I would say Hartford, Connecticut.
Nice. I have wanted to go to the Northeast. I've been all over the country, but I haven't made it up to the Northeast. I've wanted to go to like Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, something like that, Maine. One of these days, I feel like during the fall, that's the best time to
I was
go
just
because
gonna
you get
say,
all those trees.
yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta go in the fall. But it's nice. There's skiing up here too, so not in Connecticut mostly, but, Vermont is very good for skiing too.
Nice. All right, next question. We've already kind of touched on this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. It all starts with getting in contact with the seller and penning that purchase agreement. So, what is your favorite way to generate leads and find new deals?
I would say, calling, mail, PPC, and text.
Easy. I like it. Actually, one follow up question on there. Your marketing budget. Let's give us percentages for those three or four. You said calling, PPC, text, and mail. What's the marketing budget split between those four?
So we spend a lot of money on direct mail. I think we spend north of, not that I want to say this, I'll do a percentage. We probably spend about 50% of our budget on direct mail.
Okay.
We spend about 30%, 20, probably 20% PPC and the rest on calling, etc.
Nice. And which one do you feel like is the highest ROI?
Calling,
Yeah.
direct to seller, because like we said, I think direct mail is probably like a 1% response rate.
Mm,
We do a lot of it, we get a lot of response, but it is a high cost, with a little return. But I think we should always do it because we're getting deals from 2 years ago that
yeah.
come in right
Yeah.
now. So
I say that every time somebody mentions direct mail, that's the thing that pops into my mind, and why I like it is it's kind of like a slow burn. You'll start it, and it's not. You'll obviously you'll get a big push at the very beginning. You'll get a lot of calls, but it continues to deliver over months and months after you do that mailer. Because people hold on to them. I've never held on to junk mail, but people out there do, and I'll get calls like, "Hey, you sent me a mailer last year, and I've it wasn't the right time then, but it's time right now, and I'm looking
yep.
for an offer." So yeah, I like that. All right, next question is about lessons learned. Let's talk about deals that went wrong. Not every deal we get into goes the way we expect it. In fact, pretty much every single time something's going to go wrong, and that's when we get to learn a lesson. So, what was a deal that went a little bit sideways for you, and then what was the lesson you pulled from it?
Yeah, it was a knockdown rebuild. This is when I first started, is back in, I think, 2005, and I got introduced to a can't miss deal. Those can't miss deals. You got to sign today, or you know. Well, me and my partner lost $150,000 on a knockdown rebuild. Put down the deposit. Fast forward, we tried to get our money back. This is in Greenwich, Connecticut, and attorneys over there at the time, it was 475 to $500 an hour. We burned through another 10 grand. So we walked on it, right? It was a
Oof.
very, very tough pill. This is right when I first started. But my
Yeah.
takeaway is, and it was a great lesson, to be honest with you. It was a tough pill to swallow, but two lessons you take away is, number one, don't get it. The shiny object doesn't work. The shiny object syndrome, just be very, very patient, because you are not going to get rich quick in this business. You're not.
Yep.
You may make a quick wholesale deal on a commercial property, you may make 100 grand, right? But then the next one, it won't happen that way. It's not easy. It takes time. So look at this business as a long-term, look at it as a business, not a get rich quick. So I think that's the biggest takeaway is shiny object syndrome. And this is a long-term business to get into.
Yeah. Yeah. If it seems too good to be true, it most likely 99% of the time it is. I just got a deal sent to me, self-storage facility down in Mississippi, and it was $3.2 million, but it was listed as a 10 cap on actuals. And I was like, holy crap, this is a deal. Like, let's do this. And then I started doing research. It was in Jackson, Mississippi. I don't know if you know anything about Jackson, but turns out Jackson is one of the worst cities in the United States, and it's just the highest murder rate in the United States, especially this area that it was in. It's just the median income is almost under 30,000 a year, and it's just like, and so I was like, yeah, that's I've learned that lesson before. Don't invest in metros that are dying. And so yeah, I turned away from that one. But it's really hard once you see those numbers. You see a 10 cap, you're like, oh man, I really want to get that, but don't do it.
when you're younger, you get caught up in that. When you get a little older, you get a little, you
Like
realize,
there's a reason you guys are selling it this well.
yeah, exactly.
All right. Next question is the opposite of what we just talked about. We talked about lessons learned. Let's talk about that highlight reel. Sometimes things do go right, and a deal kind of stands out in your mind as your favorite. Which deal is that for you? And tell us about it.
Well, I'd have to say a recent house that we bought was listed at 1.5 million, and we ended up buying it for 1 million because we came in with a couple different offers. One of them was, if you take back, you like this one, if you take back the financing, we'll offer you 1.2. But if we give you a cash offer, we'll give you one. And they elected to take the cash offer today. But they were going to make $200,000 more if they took it over a year. So they were going to take seller financing back for a year. So they took the cash offer. So I think that was pretty cool.
Nice. I love it. I like that, making offers that way. Cash, one cash, one seller finance. They can kind of see the difference. And once somebody has a decision to make, I feel like they generally make a decision versus if you had just given them one, they're probably going to say it's just yes or no. But if they're choosing between two things, they'll choose one of those things. And I like that. All right. Next question is about AI. We already kind of talked about this a little bit, but it's a new question that I like to ask. AI is here; it's here to stay, and I like to implement it in as many places as I responsibly can in my business. So, what is a way that you have implemented AI in your business, and how would you suggest people do so themselves?
Yeah, I mean, marketing is obviously one of them. You could create different response campaigns, right? So a lot of us have CRMs. You could actually go, you put this scenario into ChatGPT as an example, and you say, all right, here I have a CRM, here I have a motivated seller. What kind of copy and what should we send them back every time they send us a message? So I think marketing and branding is one of the things that works very good. In responding to emails, I mean, that's common. That's stuff that, I mean, I do all the time. I have ChatGPT in the first app I could see on my phone. So I use it, I don't know, 10 times a day for research and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually thought. This is just an aside here, but I've thought that it would be really cool to be able to run paid ad campaigns like Google ads, Facebook ads to either Messenger or I don't know if Google has a texting function, but then you could connect it directly to an AI, like an LLM, and it could do the back and forth for you. Um, I don't know. Is that something you guys have done, or is it? Am I?
Yeah, I mean, there's agents out there. Everyone's building an agent every day, so it's like the next best thing is their agent. Well, I always look at all that stuff to see, yeah, to
See
see
what
what
actually
works.
works. All right. All right. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Awesome, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For everybody who's with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, Gabe at therealestateinvestingclub.com. If you guys want to support the show, just leave us a review. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.